So life is diverse, and I love it for its diversity, but I hate it for its the linear things. I would hate it to do just one single thing for the rest of my life. This wouldn't make me happy. So I thought about it. I thought about how can I establish different kind of skills into my life, because it sucks, right, to do the same thing over and over and over again forever and ever. Sucks. It also lacks inspiration, because I think disciplines should be transdisciplinary, right? They shouldn't be just monodisciplinary, because every discipline has some kind of influence on the other. Every discipline can be found in one or another, in each other, and everything shares a principle. Everything shares a key concept. Everything shares, I think, this is ultimately called universalism, where I think nothing is really, everything is also relative and universal. Two, I don't deny the fact that things like relativism exists, but I think there's a universal core in things, which means most everything has something inside of it which makes it part of the other. So this is maybe a really complex thing to wrap my head around. I don't really understand what I believe here, or what I'm administrating, or what I'm um, like protesting here, what I try to proclaim here. But I thought about key disciplines which I wanna like which I wanna invest time to learn them. And maybe this is a long introduction to just a simple bullet point, or just a simple act of doing, which is basically four different ones. So I also have a kind of I distinguish between the weekdays and the weekends. And the weekends I would limit on Sundays. So what am I doing on the weekdays? So I'm wanna establish farming. This might sound really weird. I wanna establish crafting, and I wanna establish coding. I see those three um, disciplines as really essential. Farming because it's a fundamental need, right? We are all we are almost all really dependent on the people which have machines and know their work and know they're disciplined, which is a thing I don't necessarily like and want to work against. The next thing would be crafting. Crafting is another really, really, really essential skill. It's really broad. You can craft like anything is crafting, right? Everything is crafted, but mostly with machines. So I would say crafting is another big aspect which I wanna like, which if you look at the whole as your if you look at your whole life, right? You're using stuff, you're using tools, you're using resources. These tools and these resources are really essential for things like farming and crafting. Like farming is a much more like farming is much more dependent on nature, while crafting is much more creative in a way that we are producing things which essentially are like make life easier, like simplifying things, like simplifying production things where we don't want to do things over and over and over again. So we think about machines, or we think about tools which make a production process easier. This is essentially what crafting was and is developing towards. Most of our production processes are being automated. The future should be automated, and this is a really key aspect of crafting. So that is another big topic which I want to cover inside of my life, which I want to establish much more in my life. The next one would be coding, and I think coding is like really much a thing. Oh, my English is so bad. So really much a thing which is in the 21st century, and which is an occasion which came in the 21st century, right? This wasn't a problem. This wasn't a thing people thought about 100 years ago. So this is fairly new, but this is fairly a topic which thus it's fairly new. I can, I can, I can understand much better because it's not so complex. Through it, it didn't get so complex throughout the years, and people actually are trying to keep things simple, to like give this knowledge to everyone, and like this is a kind of making people to make people mature to do things on their own. And I think doing things on your own is the key, another really key aspect of this work agenda. So I am like depends on when I'm standing up, right? Like for example, I stood up at 5 today, and then I began working at around 6, and I worked until 12. Like this is the amount of work I can do until my brain is really like sore and I cannot really like think um like productive anymore. I can't be productive anymore because my brain is so faded through caused by the overload of information which is present in the internet. And yeah, I'm doing this until 12, which means, so let me calculate, 6 hours of work without a break. I highly suggest to not make breaks. And I have some other advices which I will now tell, which I should have done in beforehand, but this is now the tips I would suggest. So I don't really have a fixed schedule. The things that I said, I really work by what is needed now. So I can't tell you the things which are necessary for your life right now. So I said coding, farming, and crafting, which obviously are things which are really general and not really explicit. Like I can't really tell you what to explicitly do. What I can tell you to explicitly do is to document it. So if you are working and if you're learning, document it. Because the documentation is not only for your family members or like your ancestors, your possible ancestors, but also for everyone else, much of a benefit. But also directly for yourself, you are working in a kind of community where not only you as an influencer is influencing, but also the community is influencing the influencer, which means this is a really humanistic, community-based approach of developing humankind. So the best thing would be, which I try to build right, is some kind of product which you can eventually lead people to with a funnel link. So I didn't do this because I don't know if I still have no product, and I would feel ashamed if I sell stupid stuff, right, which nobody needs. So YouTube is my only thing, and I turned off advertisement because I fucking hate advertisements. So I have currently no revenue. So as I already said, I'm broke. So you like think of something interesting to make money out of your work. I personally didn't achieve this, but I mostly talk about the problems and how I fix it. Like this is really easy to, like if you wanna if you plan on doing a video, I think I would suggest you just think about problems you had and how you fix them. This is it. This is you can come up with millions of videos just if you think about it for a minute or it's intuitively. You don't even need to think about it. So trust your intuition, right? This is another really important thing. The best editing is no edit. I really hate editing. I really love raw videos, because they're honest. Like, I'm simply honest with you currently, and I see if I'm I watch so many videos, so I can tell if influencers are honest or if they are making a video just because of the product or the brand or the company, which is like slowly undermining and like subliminal influence of trying to sell you the product of the sponsor, right? This is I can distinguish this now. So if you live at your parents' home, right, this also shouldn't be an excuse. If you live in a really tight space, for example, a flat and not a house, this might be really cringe, especially if you talk against um, some things of your parents. Also, the concentration lags. If you have constant noise and constant distractions within your flat, this might be a big effect on the work you do, right? Not only by doing videos, but also at a generally for every kind of work you're doing. Um, yeah, turn off ads and comments. I really hate comments, but I also said I like this um, kind of right, this reciprocal approach of work. But I find it also really, how should I say it, confusing sometimes if comments are misunderstanding the message behind the video. Um, Go all until you 10K a month, right? This is Hamza Ahmed has a lot of interesting videos about reaching 10K a month. I would suggest you to look up on YouTube with the keywords 10K a month and Hamza Ahmed. He's a really interesting kind of guy, controversial but interesting. And I would say this was it. I didn't mention the fourth aspect in my work, which is events. So I slowly getting into, since I moved out from my parents' home and moved into a bigger city nearby, there are a lot of different events. And I kind of like the charm of events where you meeting new people and can interact with real people, not only like fake internet uh, asses, right? Which you can never touch and talk to in real life and just listen and never talk to. Um, Events are really interesting. Events are really cool, but they are in the city. They aren't on the villages. In the villages, you need a bigger city, and no, not everyone has that. Especially if you are in a poor country, the events hosted in these countries might lack a real productive foundation. But I kind of like networking within events, so I made this at weekends, mostly Sundays. Currently in the weekdays, which is a pity because in the weekdays I really want to focus more on the work and like pushing through pain and really actually doing the things that I'm telling you currently. Like, I did those things in my home back then when I lived at my parents, but here in after I moved away, this is really hard to establish. You can really recognize this um, by consistency of my videos. And I did a lot of videos, but I didn't came to edit all of them. Yeah, so I think events are the perfect solution for socializing, and there are many interesting community workshops. Especially farming would I would highly suggest to find another farm you can join, which is not that traditional but much more modern. I would suggest you look up CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture. This is also a thing where you can only join if you put in some like research and work to find those groups, and it's really inclusive. It's not exclusive. Really inclusive for, I don't know, big cities only. Yeah. So let's summarize. The work aspects I do for deep work for around 6 hours, no breaks. I would suggest not having a fixed schedule, rather work by what's really necessary, what feels really necessary, what's this en vogue, what is the current the current situation, what's the meta game right now. But also looking at things you you consume, right? Your consumption behavior, your behavior, your consumption behavior is really directing what you think is interesting, right? If you buy a lot of things, if you buy a lot of A, like you should also produce A because you have a lot of knowledge in those fields, right? So crafting, I would suggest you by going into makerspaces, for example, and try to like slowly degrade the things you're buying from other people and slowly establish more of like learning skills to produce the things you're using day to day, like by yourself, which is not only helping our great nature, which helped us to survive for the last 1 billion decades, but it also is much more fulfilling. And if you talk about money, we talk about purpose, right? This is the video. Thanks for listening. Peace, bro. Peace.